All signs are pointing to this as the preseason has wrapped up for the Boston Celtics, and we got a bit more understanding of this center group and who's going to be filling in for Kristaps Porziņģis mainly, and who might be the odd man out. Plus, the Celtics make multiple moves in the last 24 hours, waiving Exhibit 10 contract Dmitro Skapintsev and picking up Jayson Ward on Exhibit 10. So we're going to dive into all of that news and what that could mean for the Boston Celtics. All of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support on the channel throughout the entire offseason. Godfrey and I are super, super appreciative of all of that, and we want to say thank you. So if you want to make sure you stay update on everything throughout the season, keeping up with live streams, watch-alongs, make sure to hit the like and sub button to stay up to date. But without further ado, let's get into the video at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack. Before we dive into all the news that we just broke down, we're going to discuss an ex-Boston Celtic retiring, and that is right. If you guys did not hear the news, I have it for you here. As we can see, courtesy of NBA Central, Aron Baynes has announced his retirement from the NBA, and it is a sad day for Baynes supporters in Baynes FC, the Baynes fan club. I know one of my good friends from home is a huge Aron Baynes fan. He was absolutely devastated with this news, and it's unfortunate for Aron Baynes. As we all know, he suffered a very, very serious injury while playing over in some overseas basketball, Olympic basketball, and then obviously hasn't been able to get a return to the NBA. I'm wishing nothing but the best of luck for Aron Baynes. And drop down your favorite Aron Baynes moment. Mine's gotta be the call with Tommy. Rest in peace, Tommy. If you know, you know. But let me know what you guys know about Aron Baynes. Let me know your favorite moment about him down below. But let's dive into some more news about the Celtics as they make some multiple minor moves here in the last 24 hours. Like I mentioned, they waived an Exhibit 10 contract and they signed someone new to an Exhibit 10 deal as well. So let's get in and let's dive into all of this jazz. If we want to look, see who got waived, like I mentioned, the Boston Celtics have waived center Dmitro Skapintsev, a league source told Spot Track, and that is courtesy of Keith Smith. Now we saw Skapintsev play for this Boston Celtics team throughout the preseason, and he did have some moments where he did look good. But unfortunately for this Celtics team, as we already know, the center position is already fully locked and loaded, and Skapintsev is basically just competing for a G League spot. But as we all know, and as we kind of could infer from this, we got a report from Bobby Manning here saying that the move sets up Skapintsev to join Maine, where he'll likely start at center for this Boston Celtics team. So just because Skapintsev has been waived does not mean he's going to be away from the team. He most likely will be going to Maine unless another team picks him up. But from his performances in the summer league or in the preseason so far, doesn't look like he really stood out to get another camp or deal or possibly even look to be brought on an NBA roster. So at this point, I do agree that I think Skapintsev will be going to Maine Celtics, getting a little bit of a bonus as well, being waived from that Exhibit 10-day deal, which is just a little bit nice. Be able to get some ample playing time in that group. The Celtics also made another signing yesterday as well with an Exhibit 10-day deal. So let's dive in and look at that. Courtesy of Jay King, the Celtics are signing Jayson Ward to an Exhibit 10 contract per sources, where the big man who played high school ball at Central High School in Springfield was on Iowa State's Sweet 16 squad last season after starting his college career at VCU. So like he said, started off his career at VCU, also attended college in high school in Springfield, Central High School, where he was in Massachusetts. So a Massachusetts native who obviously went to VCU and Iowa State, now playing for this Celtics team and getting signed to an Exhibit 10. And I see something similar happening to him, like we just saw with Dmitro Skapintsev. Like we just said and like we just mentioned, the Celtics have no more preseason games. So for a player like Jayson Ward, if he's being signed to this Exhibit 10 contract, the only really kind of instance that he will be brought in is getting waived and being sent to the Maine Celtics. And that's his best case scenario. He gets a little bit of a bonus. He gets an opportunity to play with the Maine Celtics. And the Celtics are already looking at him and wanting to bring him in to that group. And the Celtics center group for the Maine Celtics is a little bit thin as well. They have Tristan Nwara. They also have a player in Skapintsev who they just waived, and also now possibly a player in Jayson Ward who's going to be joining their team as well. So three now big men to that roster with a team that was primarily dominated by guards. If we want to look at this here, we can see that these are the other Exhibit 10-day deals as well still left for the Boston Celtics. We still don't know what they'll do with Lonnie Walker, Jay Scrubb, or Ron Harper Jr. We'll definitely keep our eyes on those players. I would expect Jay Scrubb and Ron Harper Jr. to both be waived and sent down to the Maine Celtics. It has both been expected that those players will play with that G League team, and Jay Scrubb might be looking to fight for a two-way spot once again after rehabbing his ACL. With Lonnie Walker, I know a lot of Celtics fans in our last video were screaming to keep him over Jaden Springer, but I ultimately do think he'll end up either in Maine, end up on another team from the likes of giving him a contract from how he looked in the Celtics preseason, or the Celtics will give him that final roster spot. It is only up to interpretation. But as we mentioned and as we've broken down, this G League team is going to be nice. It's going to have some nice players. Already has the likes of Anton Watson, Drew Peterson, and JD Davidson on those two-way deals. Maybe adding Jay Scrubb, Ron Harper, and Lonnie Walker to the mix of Tristan Nwara, Dimitros Skapinstead, and Hasten Ward as well. Could be very, very nice for this Celtics team. We already saw the main Celtics compete last season in making that G League championship. And I once again believe that this squad is going to be a tough team as well to beat in the G League. Has a lot of NBA caliber type of players or guys that could make the NBA, and a lot of young untapped potential pieces as well that could really shine bright in this G League. I'm very excited. Let me know what you guys think down below about the main Celtics. How are you guys feeling about them? But let's get into the news, the meat and bones of the video here. What we're talking about, the center position update, because ladies and gentlemen, it's been kind of alarming, kind of known now from watching these preseason games how this lineup is going to run. And as you saw with the last clip that I just showed, we obviously know the center group for this Boston Celtics team. KP is not featured in here courtesy of Spot Trek, but he is going to be out for the beginning of this season, as we all know, but he will be in this center group. But besides that, there's Al Horford, Xavier Tillman, Neemias Queta, and Luke Kornet. And as we all know, with Horford getting a little bit older, kind of sitting on these back-to-backs, Joe Mazzulla even hinting that sometimes he might be coming off the bench, players like Tillman, Queta, and Kornet are going to need to step up in the absence of Kristaps Porziņģis for the beginning of the season. And we've already seen through the preseason some of these guys stand out and look very, very good in some instances, and some players also not look the greatest in some instances. Like I mentioned, and like we said in kind of breaking down some stuff, when looking at the starting fives, we've noticed that obviously Luke Kornet has been primarily getting that nod and been getting that motion. And Bobby Manning had a great article courtesy of Celtics blog talking to Luke Kornet, one of his favorite players. And here's a snippet courtesy of Noah Dalzell on Twitter on what Luke Kornet had to say about being in Boston and re-signing. He said he kind of knew the whole time that it's not hard, that it'd be hard to go anywhere else. Kornet said, I knew that Boston, in terms of what was available for us too, was kind of limited, but to be able to play with this team, and my family's been here, there were some great options to go other places, but you notice that anywhere else I want to play with a different group of people. I feel like the group that feels like you're making the most out of it when you're trying to accomplish and being able to compete at the highest level. Honestly, the 5 years that I've been here have made it difficult to award anything else, especially with the group having basically keeping everyone back. It's an honor to be able to play here and play with these guys. So Kornet is happy. He is excited to be back, obviously, as we know, being the first signing of free agency. And Joe Mazzulla's kind of rewarded him with that. You know what I mean? By putting him in this starting lineup, he trusts in Luke Kornet. And that's kind of what we've kind of said as the sentiment. Luke Kornet has the most familiarity with this roster and kind of playing there, being here for 5 years. So he's going to be the, the de facto sub, kind of going in and being that replacement. And not only has he been able to showcase that he's been able to fit in with this squad, but has really, really looked good. There's been multiple games where he's gotten double-digit rebounds throughout the preseason. He's also looking like he's fundamentally sound underneath the basket, and the playmaking with his starting lineup is just absolutely key. And I'm really, really liking what Luke Kornet can bring to this team. We also have seen the emergence of Xavier Tillman, who was a late season addition as well last year, who I've been screaming on this channel could be the Al Horford replacement for this team in the future, and he's basically mirroring Al Horford so far in this preseason. A very, very good switchable big, and also getting to learn that three-pointer. The one concern of him last year was not knowing how to hit those three-pointers, but as we can see, courtesy of Bobby Kravitsky, Tillman is 6 for 8 from three-pointer range in the Celtics' first 3 preseason games. And unfortunately for Tillman, he finished 6 for 8 from three-point range. He got no points in Game 5. He did not play in Game 4, but Tillman, a little bit higher on the percentage because he took more threes, but hitting 6 threes in the preseason is a big difference from what we saw with Xavier Tillman last year when the Celtics bench was getting hyped up when he hit a big 3 in the playoffs. I only expect Xavier Tillman's emergence to be shown in him even working alongside Luke Kornet in some minutes as well, playing with each other. Him and Al Horford are going to look good in some double minutes, double big minutes, and I think him and Luke Kornet also can do it. Neemias Queta is the also name that we have yet to mention, and unfortunately for Neemias Queta, similar to how about the Celtics, where they said on their last episode where they think Neemias Queta has kind of fallen out of this big man rotation and looks like the odd man out of this team. It seemingly does look like that is the case for Neemias Queta at this moment, but I do not want to say that that pushes Neemias Queta out of the rotation or out of the realm, out of anything, because like we said, some nights Horford is going to sit, and with KP being out and Horford out in those back-to-backs, Tillman, Queta, and Kornet are all going to see ample run in. We've seen Queta really shine as well, and he's aggressive with his offensive rebounding. He's gotten better in some aspects, but unfortunately for Queta, it's just some small minor things that he just needs to work on to kind of fix to get better and fundamentally more sound. We've seen through the preseason him have some screens where he is moving or he sets an illegal screen, and that's just not what we need to see out of him. We've seen him multiple times as well, specifically in that game versus the first game versus the Raptors, where he just could not find a basket. He was 0 for 5 from the field in the first half, even though he had 15 rebounds. And even though he was still crashing those boards, getting a lot of those offensive rebounds, some of those were his own misses. So that's where it kind of looks at for Queta. It's just kind of getting a little bit softer touch on the glass and just feeling a little bit more confident in yourself in that point of view. But I do believe in him. I'm like I said, I'm not going to turn my back on Queta, the Portuguese guy. We are all believing in Neemias Queta here on Celtics Digest, and we're going to root for him regardless. So do I think he can still be a backup center in this league? Do I still think he can grow to that? For sure. Maybe not an impact immediate this season, but I think if he learns some things from those guys in Luke Kornet and Xavier Tillman, when the question does arise in the future with this big man group of who needs to possibly step out, who's possibly going to be leaving, if Queta can be one of those guys that can stay for the long term, I think he can truly grow and mature to be one of these bigs. He has all the qualities, he has all the tools. It's just him kind of putting them all together and just fixing those minor mistakes. Like we said, I think he brings a lot of a Rob-esque type of big to this team, where he's a similar lob threat, and I really like what Xavier Tillman's been able to bring as a switchable big, kind of bringing that Al Horford presence, where Luke Kornet also has been able to be a solid rebounder and paint protector. Ultimately, all three of these guys have looked good and have been able to fill their roles, but unfortunately, it just seems like the writing is on the wall for Neemias Queta to kind of be that third guy, seemingly where Kornet's going to be that KP replacement, and Tillman might be that Horford replacement if one of them is going to be out. But obviously, if both out, we will see Queta get some run. And I do think we'll see, depending on the matchups as well, Queta get that opportunity. And Queta will shine in games where we will talk on here and be hyping up Queta, but there's going to be times where he makes mistakes, just like everybody else on this Boston Celtics team. We're obviously going to have to critique. Like I said, he's still a good player. He's still a great fit for this Celtics team, and I still believe in him. But I do believe that Kornet and Tillman just have a little bit extra step by playing in the NBA and having more familiarity with the game and playing it at a higher level than Queta does at this moment. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How do you guys feel about this Celtics team? What are you guys leaning into and looking forward to with this season? Like I said, this season starts on Tuesday when they take on the New York Knicks, the 22nd, and we are going to be live on Celtics Digest, watching the ring ceremony, watching the game, breaking everything down. So if you want to come through to that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and stay up to date for that. We might get Chris from Knicks Digest. I have to talk to him. Might get him on here, possibly to get that stream going. We're also going to have more videos and more updates coming throughout the entire season. So if you want to stay up to date on everything leading up to the season and staying pat, if you're already at this point of the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We would appreciate it. Once again, I'm Bruce Veliz. You guys have been absolutely fantastic, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day, and go Boston Celtics.